It is one of the greatest achievements in the history of human endeavor, the famous moon landings of the Apollo program by NASA. And yet, incredibly, some people still believe that the moon landings were faked, produced by a studio, because NASA was not able to get their astronauts to the moon. There have been many claims made by these deniers of the moon landings, most usually based on flawed interpretation of visual anomalies from camera footage of the landings, or the supposed evidence of fake materials and locations. These have all been debunked many times before, so for the purpose of this video, we will show how the moon landing simply could not have been faked, no matter how much conspiracy theorists would like to think otherwise. One of the triggers for the attempt to land man on the moon was the famous space race, the competition between the Soviet Union and the United States of America to dominate space itself. This is some of the most compelling evidence that the USA successfully landed its astronauts on the moon, because if they had not, the USSR would have been shouting it from the rooftops. Unfortunately for conspiracy theorists, the Russians tracked the Apollo 11 lander all the way to the moon, and back, with its radio telescopes. The Soviet space program dwindled significantly after the successful landing, and as further Apollo missions successfully reached the lunar surface. During the various Apollo program missions to the moon, a total of 382 kilograms of rock from the lunar surface was brought back to Earth by NASA astronauts. These rocks have been studied by countless universities around the world, in each case being confirmed as more than 4.5 billion years old. This makes them older than the oldest rocks found anywhere on Earth, as would be expected on a moon where there are no plate tectonics, or weather, to constantly erode the rocks on the surface. Perhaps the most compelling evidence, however, comes not from what the NASA astronauts brought back from the moon, but from what they left behind that is still visible. Many other countries since the NASA moon landings have launched lunar orbiters, equipped with cameras that have successfully photographed the lunar surface and the Apollo landing sites. These images, freely available on the internet, clearly show the Apollo landers left behind, and some are of sufficient resolution to show the shadows of the American flags left behind by the astronauts. In some images, it is even possible to see the trails on the lunar surface left behind by the lunar rovers that were taken on later Apollo missions. Even more compelling are the scientific instruments the Apollo astronauts deployed on the moon's surface. The astronauts left behind a series of retroreflectors on the surface of the moon, in a number of locations. These mirrors were designed to reflect lasers fired from Earth, in order to measure the rate at which the moon is receding from Earth in its orbit. These mirrors have been in constant use since they were first placed in position back in 1969, confirming the rate of recession in the moon's orbit. These various pieces of evidence, often coming from countries that would have had a vested interest in exposing any deceit by NASA over the landings, confirm without any shadow of doubt that the Apollo program was successful in putting astronauts on the moon on several occasions. Furthermore, to deny their achievements is an insult to the tens of thousands of people who worked on these programs for the advancement of humankind's knowledge of our universe, and to the memory of several astronauts who lost their lives during the Apollo program's lengthy and dangerous missions. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this presentation, please do share it with others whom you feel might benefit from it, and we hope to see you in the next video.